Hello, everybody. Welcome to Example of Play, the home for strategy, tactics, and more. If you haven't subscribed already, now's your chance. Today, I am looking at something a little different. This is Creeper World IXE. This is the latest in the Creeper World series, which, if you've never played it, is a really fun tower defense game that involves, instead of fighting waves of units, you fight this creeper. It's called the creeper. It's this purple liquid that just keeps coming, and you have to shoot at it to kill it and get rid of it. And this newest version of the game is kind of interesting creative spin on the past formula, which, if you've never played them before, they're more of like a top-down tower defense game where you built towers, you had to kind of harvest resources and gradually expand out across a map. I never played the first two, but there's Creeper World 3, which is 2D graphics, kind of like this, but top-down tower defense kind of thing, and then Creeper World 4, which made it 3D, which looked a little different in 3D graphics, but also added terrains like hills and low spots, holes in the ground and stuff that was part of the game, because this creeper that you're fighting, this fluid, it just builds up and up and up. So in some of those levels, you're building like these walls really high, like a fortress, to hold off against like waves of this creeper stuff. This game, Creeper World IXE, is a nice, fresh, creative approach they're taking here, where they've gone from the top-down tower defense, and we're looking at like a 2D side-scroller angle, and instead of building towers, we're building these ships that you can then move around the map. If you've never played the series at all, it is kind of a tactical puzzle where the creeper keeps coming, usually from things like this right here, this creeper emitter. It keeps making the fluid, more and more of it, and it spreads across the map. And usually your goal is that you need to clear enough of the map that you can reach certain things. So in this game, it's these IXE cores. We have to make a path to them. And so then that our big command ship here can like tag them and knock those out. And that sounds simple, but every level, this is like, what you're looking at here is like the first level of the demo, which there is a demo, so you can play it if you want to. Every level is like a puzzle to be solved. And then the cool thing is that the game gives you enough freedom that there's not just like one simple solution. There's usually an elegant, clever solution, and then there are usually brute force, inelegant solutions as well. And it's kind of a hard game to summarize really quick, so I thought I'd just kind of play it and talk about it and look at a few different levels. So as you can see, I've got these ships, and kind of the cool thing in this iteration of the game is that you're looking at this 2D plane, but every little particle is on the screen is simulated, and they have different properties. So there's like ground, but then there's the creeper, there's like water sometimes, there's lava. Down here is like a hibernation pod that we need to get to like rescue whoever's in there, but you'll notice there's like lava between here and there, but there's water up here. So there's interactions of the different parts of the terrain, and so gravity's playing a role. It kind of makes me think of on Facebook and YouTube, you see those ads for those like pretend games where the guy's like digging certain spots of the screen to make like lava or stuff move around. If you know, I hope you know what I'm talking about. But this game is like kind of actually running with that idea and doing something real with it. One of the things that makes this game different, besides the perspective of the past Creeper World games, is that on those, you could usually just keep building more and more towers and kind of brute force your way to a solution, where here you're limited in how many ships you have. You can only build as many as that scenario gives you, which there is like a campaign. There's like a little story to it that spans across the games, but there is a campaign. There are, as you go through it, you gradually unlock more and more ships. Like as you can see down here, there's always, this is the first level of the demo. But there are all kinds of different ships that you eventually unlock, and they all have a certain purpose. But like I said, you're limited in how many you can deploy at a time. You're also limited in how much energy your ship has. So this green bar up here. So if you overdo it, you can get yourself in a situation where you can't build anything. And so you have to kind of balance choose carefully what you're building, what you're trying to do, because in this mission it probably won't happen, but in some of them you can actually be overwhelmed by the creeper if you're not careful, which could also happen in the other game. Sometimes you're kind of on the clock right at the beginning to get a solution up and running. And then these little green things we're building give us more energy over time. So if we build them up, then we get way more energy. And so like right now our goal is, how am I gonna turn off this creeper thing down here that keeps producing more and more of it, is we're gonna need to get enough firepower going that we can blow our way down to it, and then build one of these things, this nullifier, and park it right next to it, and it'll blow it up and get rid of it. So that sounds simple, but sometimes you're facing multiple angles of attack that are coming at you. And so you have to figure out, all right, I'm gonna take out this one and that one and that one. And it kind of scratches the same part of your brain as like Factorio or something, of like thinking of a logical sequence of things you're gonna do to accomplish your objective. And there's more than one way to go about it. There's probably like a really good, correct way, but usually there's multiple paths. And as you can see, you can also dig the ground, so you can cut holes through the terrain. Not all the terrains, like this rock, we can't do anything with that, but we can cut holes through some of the terrain, and then that opens up ways that you can attack and move, because your ships can basically move through any open area, because they like, when you move them, they like turn into individual particles and fly around. So if you can like wedge one of your ships in here, then you get another angle of attack. But when you do that, you also open up avenues the creeper will move through. As it builds up, it'll push up through some of those areas too. And then you can also build like shields, so you can like create terrain too. Like I said, this is kind of a hard game. I'm trying to do just a quick video on it without getting way bogged down into it, because it doesn't really need a tutorial, because the whole campaign is basically a lengthy tutorial that gradually introduces the concepts and the different ships to you. But I wanted to kind of give you an idea of it. Trying to see if we can just get this first creeper taken out, or this first emitter. And so as we work our way down here, you see like these little guys, they just have like a cannon they shoot. These gunships, they shoot a cannon, but they also shoot these rockets that do like they take out like a chunk of the creeper, and they can go further. So that's handy to take out like concentrated areas where the little defender guys are good to kind of hold the line. And then your apex is like your mothership. It can fight as well, but it's really big, so it's kind of hard to wedge it into certain places. And then these are just the most basic ships. So later you get other ones that let you create anti-creeper, which is like your own version, but it's like safe for your ships and it negates the creeper. And then there's all kinds of other threats that you come up against that you have to use the different ships to counter and defeat. And then ultimately, yeah, get these nullifiers in to delete this guy. Then we don't have to worry about it. Then we just have to go take out this one, which while we've been messing around over here, this one's building up. And as you can see, it's like down here showing how thick the creeper is there. So like it just keeps building up and up and up, so that even though it only occupies this one part of the screen, it can be really concentrated in there. So once we like tap into that, it's going to flow out. So we have to be ready for that. Or in some scenarios, it might be you're on kind of a time limit till it's going to overflow from some space that it's in and come swarming across the map. And so you're kind of against the clock a lot of times too. Now, if we can get down in here, we can also, now that we're comfortable, we can kind of delete some of this terrain to open up our attack and move some more ships down here. And I'll try to get this, and then we'll look at another map. My main thing is to try this game out. There's a free demo. It has several levels you can play. If you've played the other Creeper World games, it is the same concepts, but it's just very different how you're doing it. And I'll admit, when I first played this one, Creeper World IXE, I kind of bounced off of it because it wasn't the top-down tower defense game that I was used to. I was kind of like, oh, this isn't, I would rather have the same as the previous games, just more of that. And this was really different. And at first I wasn't crazy about it, but the more I play it, the more I'm getting into it. I've played quite a bit into the campaign, and as it gets more complex, you get more ships and stuff, it does get really interesting, because like the one level I just played, it was kind of like this, where you had lava and you had this hibernation pod, but in that scenario it was in a bunch of creepers, so you had to figure out like, how am I going to get past lava to it and then beat the creeper that's there. And it involved like using the water from a different part of the map and moving that water using gravity to the lava, which whenever it interacts with the lava, it turns into stone. And then you can delete the stone. You can't do anything about the lava directly, but you can turn it to stone and then have your ships, certain ships can destroy land. So like this is the digger ship, and that's all it does. So once you turn the lava into like stone, you can get rid of it. So like here, we can dig that down. And then once we get over there, turn the lava into stone, then delete the stone, and then we can get to this thing. So it's just those sort of like sequences of tasks that you're trying to do. And now we hit, so this is kind of your goal, get this thing close to it, boom, blows it up. Now it's not producing anymore. Now we can go deal with the other one. And then once we've dealt with that one, which we don't necessarily have to deal with that one. That's the other thing. You don't have to like destroy all of it really, because all we need to do is get access to this thing, the core, and that one. So really, we just need to carve a path to it. We don't have to actually, we don't need to tap into where this emitter is and do anything with it, because if we let that out, that's just going to be a whole bunch of creeper we have to fight, and we can just ignore it. And so here, this happens once we get access to this thing. Your ship like zaps it, and then once you zap both of them or all of them at the same time that are on the map, then you win basically. And then here also we want to get this hibernation pod. So it just depends on the map. But let's jump to a couple other maps just to see. And so there is the story mode. I'm on like mission 8 or so, where it does get more complex as it goes. And basically every mission introduces some new tool, some new threat. And if you go on tangent, there are like bonus missions, and they are all very different. And then there's the demo missions. I'm playing the full build here, but if you do the demo, it's got several missions. And then there are colonies, which are user generated missions. So you can see there's a few from other players that they've created using the editor. So the editor lets you make maps and make like units and stuff. Like you can add all kinds of stuff to it. So I'm sure people create insanely complicated, difficult maps using that. And then there's a map generator, so you can make like just randomly generated maps too. So a ton of gameplay here. If you enjoy it, there's like unlimited maps to play on. But we'll jump into, just for funsies, we'll look at like the next story mission here. And so you have kind of some characters and a story, and it just kind of gives some context for what's going on. Basically sci-fi story of humanity fighting against this creeper for years and years. And you can see I have a bunch more ships now. So, and yeah, there's all these different, it's basically like a big puzzle, and you have to kind of figure out how are you going to solve it, what sequence of actions you're going to take, how are you going to do it, which ships are you going to use, in what order. You can't necessarily build them all right away. You have to kind of work your way up to it and then look and see what's out here. So some of this is going to like, this breeder land is going to like create creeper. This purple or pink stuff is anti-creeper ore. So if we get to that, we can throw down this miner thing. It'll soak that up and then turn it into anti-creeper, which is like your friendly version of it that this ship can then pump out somewhere, and it creates basically, it can kind of push back the enemy creeper, and it flows too. So you can like build it up and then use gravity to flow it where you want it to go. I'm not going to try to play this mission because it might take a while to get through, but just for example, see, and there's sand. The sand like flows. There are these tech modules, so as you go through the missions, you get those, you get more ships that you can use, and sometimes it's just more of what the ones you already have. Sometimes it is brand new ones, these crystals that let you, make you stronger, and basically every map you have to kind of hunt those down and get them. And you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of the IXE cores on this map to get to. And you can see the creeper is coming. So like this scenario, we got to figure out how are we going to get down there and beat that back and deal with, yeah, I don't even know where to start on this one, but we would figure it out. And then this is some acid, which can melt metal. So there might, sometimes there's like metal on the map. This pixelium, I haven't seen this first time I've seen that. Lots of elements. Point being, it's like a big puzzle for you to unpack. Now, if you've never played any of the games before, I highly recommend Creeper World 3 or 4 because they go on sale really cheap. 4 is basically the same as 3, but in 3D. And then 3 is kind of like, I don't know, probably like the classic peak of the 2D version of the top down, where this is taking it in a new direction. So I just wanted to feature this game a little because I really like this series, and it is different. Like I said, I kind of bounced off of it at first, but then after I played it more and more, I really got into it, and now, yeah, I want to see if I can beat all the missions. And then one cool thing is if when you do beat a mission, you can see like your time and compare it to someone else's. And so sometimes that'll make you feel better, and sometimes it'll make you feel like garbage because you look and see someone out there, like this last mission, I think I did it in like 30-40 minutes, which was not the best but not the worst. And then someone out there's beat it like 8 minutes, which tells you there's some kind of trick to this map. Like if you can figure it out, there's some loophole to it that this guy figured out to do it in 8.5 minutes, where it took me like 40. So there's that element to it as well, where you can kind of compare yourself to see how other people did, go for a high score. But anyway, thanks for watching. I know this is something a little different than the last few videos, but I wanted to feature it a little because it is a great series and worth looking at. And like I said, there's a demo. Full version comes out December 12th. So if you like the demo, be sure and check it out. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more strategy and tactics games. And some of them are war games. Some of them are stuff like this. It's a little different. But I like to try all kinds of things that make you think. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.